Greetings everybody, Thunder Hands here, talking about Chi, life force, and Prana. Now I've talked about Chi in several videos, and I've talked about life force, and I've talked about Prana, but I'm not sure that everybody understands what it's all about, so I thought I'd try to broach that subject tonight. Now, Chi and Prana and life force are basically all the same thing. Scientists can't really put a finger on it, but they know it exists. And so we have the Prana definition coming from the Hindu term, okay, or the Hindu tradition. And when you study or practice Kriya Yoga, it's a movement of energy, okay? But energy is another name for Chi. Some people think that it comes from the sun. What it is it's something that's an all-pervading force in the universe that surrounds us and is inside of us and outside of us and all over. And it's in all kinds of things. It's in everything, basically. It's in inanimate objects. It's the very fabric of what life is made up of. Now, in the Hindu tradition, when you're studying meditation and when you're practicing yogi, you learn that there are channels in the body, and these channels are called nadis, okay, N-A-D-I-S, nadis. And these channels are the same channels that the acupuncturists or that the Chinese call meridians. And they spread throughout the body. They run through from the top of your head down your shoulders. There's several meridians, numerous meridians. The main meridians would be the Ren channel, which runs down the front of your body, and the Du channel, which runs down your back. Now, those would also be called nadis in the Hindu tradition. And so the pranayama exercises are breathing exercises. Pranayama, prana meaning energy or chi, and yama meaning breathing the energy or chi. Now, some people think, well, that the human body is just alive because of that we breathe oxygen and the oxygen goes through our bloodstream and our blood pumps it to all the vital organs. And yes, that's true. But if you think that that's the only thing that's keeping you alive, then you're mistaken, because what really keeps you alive is the life force or the chi or the prana that is present in all of your systems, including your organs and everything else. Because if it was just oxygen that kept you alive, you could take a corpse and pump up the lungs and make them breathe somehow, and it would come to life. No, that's not what brings us to life. What gives us life is the life force of the universe, which again is, to scientists, they are kind of baffled about it. They might not even admit that it's there, but it is there. And the practices of meditation going back for thousands and thousands of years in the Hindu tradition, and just as many years in the Chinese tradition, should give you some kind of indication, okay, that this stuff has been around and recognized by sages and yogis and shamans and medicine men for quite a long time, okay? And when you're involved in the martial arts, it's a age-old tradition, okay? Qi is talked about in many, many historical books going way, way back. There's been demonstrations of Qi. There's been demonstrations by yogis, demonstrations by what we'd call martial arts masters or masters in general. So the thing that you have to remember is, if you want to keep your body in primo condition, and not only your physical body but your spiritual body, then you have to do some kind of practice, or you have to acknowledge, or you have to be aware. It would be very good to be aware or acknowledge that prana exists and that Qi exists, and that you cultivate that prana and you cultivate that Qi, and that you circulate this Qi through the meridians of your body. Now, when acupuncturists work on the body, the human body, they treat certain points on your body that are located on these meridians. And if you were to look at the meridians, they almost look like veins, but there's not quite as many meridians as there are veins. Meridians are basically invisible. In other words, if you were to take and dissect a human body, you wouldn't be able to find them. They're invisible. But yet they're energy channels, and there are notches in the human body and in the bone structure where, when you were in the womb, okay, when you were in the womb and you were being formed, this energy web is what formed you. And this energy web is comprised of these meridians, or naders, or nadis, in the body. And you can verify this because it's like a laser beam in the skeleton. Everywhere where this web or these beams of energy were forming you, there's little notches, okay? And one of the notches you can actually feel for yourself if you run your finger along the lower bone structure of your eye socket. You can feel a notch right there in the middle of it, and that is also an acupuncture point. And there's one up here, and they're all over the body, okay? And so that's where the doctor of medicine for the Chinese doctor of medicine, or the acupuncturist, that is where they treat, that is where they insert the needles, okay, to activate the Qi or activate the energy. And they can either tonify that Qi by twisting the needle a certain way. Tonify meaning to tonify, to increase, or they can sedate it. They can sedate the Qi, because you can get too much Qi running, and it could cause a headache or whatever, and that's what causes some of the problems that we have with our health and that type of thing. So you have two schools of thought. You have the Hindu school of thought, and you have the or the East Indian school of thought, and you have the Chinese school of thought, and also a lot of other cultures, the Germanic culture, the Indian culture, Native American culture. This energy is familiar to a lot of different tribes and peoples, okay, that is just really isn't talked about, okay. But it has a name in the Germanic culture, and it has a name in other cultures, and they all have their techniques for accessing it or for recognizing it. So one of the techniques like that I've talked about before is the Kriya Yoga technique of circulating the energy. And some of these in the nadis, okay, NADIS, or the nador, I think it's I think one refers to the energy flowing and one just the channel. I'm not sure on that, but I will I will go out on a limb and say it is nadis. I'm doing this just from recollection, just off the top of my head. Now these channels, one of them is called the Ida, okay. The two main ones that yogis are concerned with are called the Ida, IDA, and the Pingala, PINGALA, I believe. The Ida and the Pingala. And the Ida is one side of the spine and is associated with one side of the nose, or one nostril, and then the Pingala is the other side. And so yogis do a breathing exercise which activates this energy and runs it up and down the spine through the Ida and Pingala channels. And I believe the Sushumna is the crown chakra, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's the crown chakra, or the crown energy center. So when you do breathing exercises that I've taught before, that I've been doing since the mid-80s, okay, I have been a practicing yogi since the mid-80s. I have been running this energy continually in all my meditation practices. And I also researched other ways of running the energy from other different cultures, like the Chinese. And I've talked about the microcosmic orbit, which is the same thing as the Ida and the Pingala, only in the Ida and Pingala you're running the energy up and down your spine, but in the microcosmic orbit you're running it up the spine, over, around, through the top of your head, the crown chakra, and down the Ren channel, which is connected by the tongue being on the roof of your mouth. I've talked about that before. Now I've teach this to people. I teach breathing exercises to people, and they've had phenomenal results. I've showed some people in the Campfire Council, and they had good results with it, and other people have had good results that I've taught, either by email or through my videos or whatever. But the whole purpose of running the chi, or circulating the chi through your body, is to balance out your body and balance out your meridians, so that areas that might be stagnated, or there might not be as much energy there as there should be, you can actually send there. Now, how do you do this? Well, it takes years of practice, and it takes certain ways of breathing, which are just too complicated to go into here right now, but I've done videos on it before, and I may do more. But it's a way of breathing, pranayama, or qigong, which is a Chinese practice, qigong, tai chi. All of these things circulate the energy through your being. And so this is why you want to be able to practice. Now, I've also talked about the Kundalini energy, which is also called the serpent energy. And the reason it's called a serpent energy is because it coils, okay? There's a coiling effect. When you breathe and you open up your energy centers, which are called chakras, and when you do a certain kind of breathing that activates your lower base chakra between your legs, down by where the sexual organs are, which is your prime mover, which is your primal energy, when you do certain exercises, you activate this serpent energy, and it starts to coil. It starts to work its way up your spine. Now, as it works its way up your spine, it pierces energy centers that are on your body. And these are called, again, they're called chakras. And you have a third eye, and you have, a throat, and a crown, and a heart, and an abdomen, and a lower abdomen, and then the base chakra, which is between your legs, down in that area. These energy centers are all part of the metaphysical body, or the spiritual body, that affect the physical body. So if one of these chakras is not open, or it's not spinning, they look like flowers if you could see them, and some people can. They spin in a certain way, and they are of a certain color, and if they slow down, or if they aren't active, then that's a cause for stagnation, and a cause for some kind of health problem. So, if you want to stay young, and a lot of Chinese philosophers and ancient sages and martial arts experts always connected this with longevity, or being able to live a long and full life, and a quality life, one that's healthy, not one that's not healthy. So it is beneficial to you to know about this life force. Again, it's called Chi and Prana. And those are the two main cultural names that I'm using, because I'm more familiar with them personally. So I've been practicing this for many, many years, and I teach it. And I also do, I also write about it, and I also counsel people. I've taught people how to do this energy practice over the phone, and I've achieved good results with it. I've exchanged chi with people by either holding their hand or projecting it. It can be projected short distances and long distances, because there is no distance, really. Okay, there is no distance. That's all an illusion too. So when I talk about Maya and I talk about the illusion, that's what I'm talking about. And when I talk about ascending and descending, when I talk about that I descend down to the mundane level of, let's say, talking about politics or something like that, that's what I'm talking about. It's down in a lower level. It's not on a higher conscious level, where frankly you wouldn't give too much of a shit about it. So just a little knowledge and wisdom from Thunder that I'm passing on to you. I do tend to be a sort of like a chameleon. I change colors, I adapt to whatever subject that I want to talk about, or whatever frequency I want to put myself on. If I want to put myself on a lower frequency and talk about world affairs, I can do that, but I can jump right up to where I am right now and talk about spiritual things with a passion. And that's what really matters in life, is the spiritual and not the physical. The physical follows the spiritual. The physical, even in practices, okay, health practices, the mind leads the body. Yes, the body-mind should be one. And you kind of like have to work from both ends of the spectrum with foods and this type of thing. But know this, whenever you eat food, it doesn't matter what you're eating, that food has prana in it, okay? It has chi in it. And that's how another way that you achieve this chi, okay, is by eating and drinking water, and your body goes through a metabolic process that extracts the chi as well as the other vitamins and nutrients and that type of thing. It also extracts the chi, but that is not the only way to get chi. In fact, the fastest way to get chi is by doing this metaphysical exercises of breathing and meditation and moving the energy. Kriya means movement of energy. The circulation of the microcosmic orbit means moving of energy. And when you move this energy, you can get to a point where you can direct the energy with your mind through different meridians and through different channels, and nourish those parts of the body that need to be nourished. Now, when people practice, let's say, yoga, where they do the asanas, where they get into the different positions, they, unbeknownst to them, a lot of people just get in it like, I'm going to go exercise in the park or something, but unbeknownst to them, this is an ancient way of activating the prana or the chi in the body, and actually awakening the kundalini, okay? The kundalini, which is again that coiled energy that goes up the spine. Now, this is also used in Tantra. This is also used in the Tantrika, the practice of Tantrika or Tantra or sexual yoga between two partners. Or you can do a male female. You can partner up inside yourself, and because we all have the male female energies within us, the yin and the yang, okay. It's used in Tantra yoga between partners, okay. But instead of running the energy just up the spine and through the Ren channel in the front, when you're facing each other in a sexual position, you actually touch your tongues and run it through two circles, okay, through your circle and your partner's circle, through the tongue. It's a very exhilarating, energetic, consciousness-raising, supreme orgasmic developing procedure. So all of these things are connected, okay? The Tantra and the Kundalini Yoga and the Chi and the movement. When you see Tai Chi practitioners doing these hand movements, which I do every day, gathering the Chi and bringing it down with their hands. And you can feel the Chi in your hands too. There's exercises you can do where you can feel the Chi like that. You can start to get a tingling sensation, and you can actually feel the Chi when you concentrate, or when you develop this facility where you can start feeling the Chi when you put your hands together, or when you put them above your head and you shake your hands and then put them together. You can activate the Chi. You can call the Chi, and you can call it. There's several ways that you can call the Chi. You can call the Chi with your mind to certain places, or you can use certain slapping techniques and things like that. So I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to cover as far as Chi and life force and energy. And I could talk about this subject, and there is I'm just scratching the surface. And there's probably a million things I left out. I probably have forgotten more than most people will ever know. So anyway, it's a second nature thing with me. And so I just thought I would try to impart a little bit more knowledge about that. I've done videos about it before, but it's always good to refresh the people's memories and my own memory. And I don't talk with notes, I just talk off the top of my head because it's more of a spontaneous way to impart information. So I'll leave you with that today. I guess that's all for now. Adios, over and out.